The morning the town of Silver Ridge gathered for the wedding, the wind carried laughter sharp as broken glass, because no one could understand why Eleanor Whitmore, the most admired schoolteacher in 3 counties, was about to marry Caleb Boone, a mountain man everyone called poor, silent, and barely civilized. A man who smelled of pine smoke and horse sweat and lived beyond the last trail, where the law rarely bothered to ride. And as Eleanor stepped out of the chapel in her simple ivory dress with no jewels and no family beside her, whispers cut through the crowd saying she had ruined her life, thrown away her future, and chained herself to poverty forever. Yet Eleanor's eyes were calm and steady, because she had never loved gold. She had loved the way Caleb listened, the way he stood between her and danger without a word, the way his rough hands treated her as if she were something fragile and sacred. And when the preacher asked if anyone objected, the silence that followed was heavier than thunder, because everyone expected Eleanor to hesitate, to look back, to reconsider, but she did not. She said her vows clearly, firmly, and when Caleb answered with his low, steady voice, promising loyalty and protection until death, something shifted in the air, even if no one noticed it yet. And after the ceremony, the town turned cold. Smiles stiff, congratulations thin, as Eleanor mounted the horse behind Caleb with only one small bag to her name and rode away from Silver Ridge without looking back, following him into the mountains where rumors said men vanished and winters killed the weak. And as the town faded behind them, Eleanor felt fear for the first time, but also relief because she had escaped a life chosen for her and stepped into one she chose herself. And the climb was long and brutal, the trail narrow, cliffs sharp enough to steal breath. Yet Caleb guided the horse with absolute certainty, as if every rock and bend were already memorized. And when night fell, they stopped near a fire where Caleb cooked venison with practiced ease and handed her the best portion without comment. And Eleanor realized he always gave more than he took. And as the fire crackled and wolves howled far off, she asked him quietly why he never spoke of his past, and he looked into the flames a long moment before saying only that some truths were safer revealed slowly. And Eleanor accepted that because love did not demand confession, only honesty, and she slept under the stars, wrapped in his coat while he kept watch. And if anyone from Silver Ridge had seen them, then they would have said she looked small and foolish beside a poor mountain man, but they would not have seen the way Caleb's eyes scanned. The darkness with the focus of a man who owned more than land, more than money. A man who carried secrets heavier than gold, and as dawn broke over the peaks, Eleanor woke to a view so vast it stole her breath and realized her life had truly begun the moment she rode away with nothing but love. By the 3rd day of travel, the mountains no longer felt empty but alive, watching, testing, and Eleanor began to understand that Caleb Boone did not move through this land like a trespasser, but like a master. Greeting trappers by name, reading weather in the clouds, knowing which streams ran clean and which hid danger beneath calm surfaces, and still he said little, letting actions speak louder than promises. And Eleanor noticed how men along the trail looked at him with quiet respect, mixed with something else, something like caution, as if they knew more than they said. And when one old trapper muttered that Boone always walked his own path, Eleanor asked what he meant. But the man only shook his head and warned her that the mountains kept secrets the way graves did. And that night, as rain hammered the earth and thunder rolled through the valleys, Eleanor wondered again if she had been foolish. Yet when the storm broke and the moon revealed a narrow canyon path hidden behind a curtain of rock and pine, Caleb guided the horse toward it without hesitation. And Eleanor felt a strange pull in her chest, as if something unseen was drawing them forward. And after hours of travel through the canyon, they reached an iron gate half covered in ivy, solid, heavy, unmistakably expensive. And Eleanor froze, staring, unable to reconcile the image with the man she had married. And before she could speak, Caleb dismounted, unlocked the gate with a key worn smooth from use, and led her inside without explanation. And beyond the gate, the land opened into a wide green valley untouched by the harshness outside, with orchards, stone paths, and lights glowing in the distance. And Eleanor's heart pounded as a massive structure emerged from the trees. Not a cabin, not a lodge, but a grand mountain mansion built of stone and timber, its windows lit warm and inviting, standing proud and hidden as if carved into the mountain itself. And Eleanor dismounted slowly, her legs weak, her mind racing, because this was not poverty. This was wealth beyond anything Silver Ridge had imagined. And when she turned to Caleb, questions spilling behind her eyes, he finally spoke, telling her this place had belonged to his family for generations, that his father had been a railroad investor, a landholder, a man whose name once commanded respect and envy, until betrayal and bloodshed had driven them into silence and isolation. And Caleb had chosen to live as a mountain man to protect what remained, to ensure no one came looking, and Eleanor listened without interruption. Realizing the man she loved had never lied, he had only withheld what could endanger them both. And as the mansion doors opened and warm light spilled out, Eleanor understood that the true test of her love had arrived, not when she believed him poor, but now when wealth stood revealed. And as they stepped inside the hidden mansion together, the mountains closed behind them like a secret sworn to stone. The days that followed unfolded like a dream Eleanor never imagined. Servants who greeted Caleb with loyalty and quiet relief, rooms filled with books, maps and artifacts from a life of influence long buried. And yet Caleb himself remained unchanged, still rising before dawn, still chopping wood, still riding the perimeter to ensure safety. And Eleanor saw clearly that wealth had never defined him. Discipline had, and slowly he revealed more of his past. How enemies still searched for remnants of his family's holdings, how pretending to be poor had been the only shield strong enough to keep the mansion hidden. And Eleanor realized her love had unknowingly passed the greatest test possible, because she had chosen him when she believed there was nothing to gain. And the mountain responded to her presence as if approving her, storms passing quickly, wildlife calm. And one evening as they stood on a balcony overlooking the valley, Eleanor admitted she felt betrayed for a moment, but never regretful, because love did not change with circumstance. And Caleb's voice broke as he confessed his greatest fear had been losing her not to danger but to the truth. And she took his hands and reminded him that she had married the man, not the mystery, and that night they danced alone in a grand hall lit by firelight, no music but the wind beyond the walls. And in that moment, Eleanor knew she had stepped into a life larger than comfort, a life requiring strength, loyalty and courage. And when word eventually reached Silver Ridge that Eleanor Whitmore now lived in a hidden mountain estate, disbelief turned to regret, and those who mocked her choice spoke her name with awe. But she never returned to prove anything, because the mountains had claimed her as one of their own, and her happiness did not require witnesses. Years later, when travelers spoke of a mansion hidden beyond the peaks and a man who ruled the mountains without cruelty or greed, they also spoke of a woman whose smile could calm storms and whose presence brought balance to a land once ruled by fear. And Eleanor Whitmore Boone never forgot the day she rode away believing she had chosen poverty, because that choice revealed the truth that love untested by hardship was not love at all. And as she and Caleb stood together watching the sunset bleed gold across the valley, their hands intertwined, the world beyond the mountains seemed distant and unimportant, because the greatest fortune they possessed was not stone walls or hidden wealth, but the unwavering trust forged when nothing else was promised. And in 1885, the Wild West learned a quiet lesson it would never record in history books, that the strongest marriages were not built on wealth revealed, but on love chosen before the truth was known.